Good evening and Merry ChristmaHannahQwanza to all the listeners. Great Matters Radio. I am your host, Michael Devine, for a very special Christmas edition of Great Matters Radio. This is the second time doing the show over Christmas holidays, so it's really only my second holiday special. I might fuck it up. It might suck. It actually might be good. It might cover ground other people have. I don't care. It's only my second time going around, so we're going to do my best. Now, naturally, I have my co-host, but Bill, he couldn't make it. He actually has to go out of town for the Christmas holiday. Something about leaving early, going up to family. I don't know, some bullshit like that. But thank God I have another degenerate like me. Big B from our good friends at the K Crew. What is going on, my man? How you doing?
Mr. Devine, what's going on?
Dude.
I'm glad to be here. And you know what? How dare your co-host choose family over the show?
I know. I mean,
what the fuck is wrong with it?
Dude, we've known each other like 30 some odd years, and yet somehow he chooses tonight of all nights. He puts his own family and children over his friend of 30 years. I don't get it. I just,
you know what?
Yeah.
That's not a friend to have. I'm sorry. You don't put family over friends like that.
No, you don't. So of course I'm like, who else can I get that is dedicated to the cause? Part of the crew that got me really my first launch, the confidence to do my own podcast. Then one of the Cape Crew boys. We'd get Stu, but Stu just scares me. So I don't know if I'd like him one-on-one. So I figured
like 4:00 in the morning over there.
I know it's way too early. And so, but like we're going to be talking about Mike Bloomberg tonight, and naturally I thought we need a real New Yorker to talk about who in the hell this guy is. Somebody that has been very intimate with Bloomberg. He seems like a nice guy on the videos, like a very approachable billionaire. So we're going to get into that tonight. But I know Big B's going to have his own viewpoints, and I'm not even biased on this one because I'm going to trust that you're going to guide us in this jersey. I'm just going to ask the right questions. But before we get there, we're going to start off with something a little more lighthearted. I don't even know if I even did this on Christmas last year. Maybe I've skipped a week. I don't know, but we're doing it. So I want to get into the Christmas spirit, or ChristmaHannahQwanza, because tonight technically is the first night of Hanukkah. So happy Hanukkah to our, Jewish listeners. I'm technically Jewish myself. I haven't really been to synagogue in a very long time, but I'll connect with the holiday. So what's your, everyone always talks about Christmas as this amazing, awesome, thing, or it's something they fucking loathe. It's almost like the worst time of year. And yeah, I think it's pretty much the gamut that you get. I'm on the camp of I love Christmas, but I mean, what's your opinion of Christmas, Big B?
Jesus, get me choked up now. Christmas is actually my favorite holiday.
Really?
It's since I was a kid, it was just. I don't want to say like, magical, the quote unquote magical thing, but it was dreamy. It just always felt like a nice time of year because everybody seemed nicer. I mean, you grow up in New York, you kind of, people are always, keep to themselves, head down, get the fuck out of my way. I got to go where I go. In the holiday season, even when I was a kid, everybody just seemed nicer, and it just seemed to be a lot of fun to be around. I loved the lights, I loved the decorations and all that. It was, and it was never like even about, getting presents. You figure when you're a kid, that's all you want to get is presents. I just loved being in the season, and it's always stuck with me. And I think that's a lot of like people's experiences, whether they, like you said, they love it or they completely hate it. Depends on your experiences as you're growing up. If you have bad experiences on Christmas, you're not going to really like it.
It always seems like
family or something like that.
Yeah, it always seems like it's like these grand stories of this most amazing thing, or you'll hear this story of like, oh my God, of all days, and it seems to be very polarizing. But I think it's like you. I love the season of holiday of Christmas. I remember when I moved to Texas from like 2003 to just a couple years ago, we were down there a lot, and it was just hot all the time. And when you grow up in a cold climate, it just never ever felt like Christmas. And so being back home with the snow, but my other favorite place is New York City. There's something magical about New York City and Christmas. I mean, I hate touristy things. I'm not gonna lie. Every year we'd ever go there, we're riding the fucking horses. We're walking like Rockefeller, Center. We're going through Central Park. We're just looking at all the lights. I don't know. There's something really cool, and you're right that people are radically different during Christmas, and so it's.
Can I tell you one thing though?
Oh, I'd love to.
as New Yorkers, like I said, I love the time of the season. I love that people are nice. But as New Yorkers, we hate you fucking tourists. I'm sorry. Was it 2 weeks ago, like when everything first got decorated for Christmas and Saks Fifth Avenue has this big light show that goes on every couple of minutes? I'm trying to get, I was in the city doing work, and I'm trying to get to my car, and everybody just stops and looks up there. Like they've never seen a fucking blinking light bulb in their life. I'm trying to get through everybody. I'm literally pushing people out of the way. Get the fuck out of my way. I got to cross the street. Everybody's packed in there. Wow. And with their goddamn phone. Look, it's a blinking light. I love the time of year, but I hate you fucking tourists.
Hey, you know what? So I don't know if this counts for anything, right? It may not count for anything. So like, I remember one of the things that my wife and I travel a lot, and I remember when we go to London, Paris, big cities, right? You always hear the same things over and over again. Like, it's not that we technically hate tourists per se. It's just what tourists do. So when we're trying to get to work, you guys are sitting in the middle of the fucking road taking pictures and not paying attention to anything else around you. And it's like, and then on top of that, you guys are so fucking sensitive. Like when I sit there and go, get the fuck out of the way, I'm not saying I fucking hate you, you fuckhead. Get out my fucking way. It's just, it's the shortest way for me to say it. And you guys get all butthurt that we're all overly sensitive. So my wife and I have always been big. It doesn't matter if it's in the States, international, we're like, stay on the fucking sidewalk, don't hold your camera and block anybody, don't go on the fucking subway in morning or rush hour or when they're coming home, let them get. So we've always been trying to be cognizant of that. So whether or not that's worth anything, maybe it isn't, but we try to be
something
cognizant.
Like that I could definitely appreciate.
Okay,
for the most part though, everybody like they've never seen a building, they've never seen a tree, they've never seen a blinking light before in their life. And literally, like I'm not going to barrel through people. I'm a human being. I say, excuse me. By the third time I say, excuse me, and you're still standing there like this,
you've earned it.
Fucking mouth open.
You've earned it to be a fucking douche. Yeah. It's like, I totally agree. I would do the same. Like, you would get the fuck out. I'm not even from here. I'm telling you, get the fuck out of the way. So I think it's about, it's being cognizant about wherever you're visiting. A lot of people, they're not visiting, they're living there. So, right. I wouldn't like it if you came into my town and did the same thing. So I try to be respectful of that, you know.
And I do the same thing as you when I go away to different places. I'm not, in the middle of the street, like, where the hell am I? Look at all this. No, I move out of the way.
It's like you've never seen a building before.
And I try to change, tell my kids that too. Move over.
Yeah.
We'll take a picture over here. Move over. Whatever. Get out of people's way.
Well, it was just like Christmas shopping today. Like we were trying to get like just a little bit of last minute grocery shopping done, and it's like people are in the middle of like no one is moving out of the way. Everyone's in the middle of the aisle. It's like, and no one's like telling anyone to move out of the way. I mean, literally, I saw one guy literally today trying to like squeeze through a lane. The lady wouldn't move her cart. There's another lane over here. One way was blocked. The guy couldn't get out because it was like the worker was unloading shit. And a lady didn't even move. The guy literally bumped into her cart and then knocked over shit on the other side of the cart. And it's like, really? Like, you got to be shitting me. Like, yep. That's fucking amazing.
I was in Target earlier today because we had to do some last minute shit and get a couple of little last minute decorations and shit for the house. And literally, like you said, we went up and down the toy aisle. Worst mistake I ever fucking made in my life. But people will sit there, put the cart in the middle of the aisle, and walk to 3 aisles down and leave the cart there. So, I just take it, I push it out, I throw it, I roll it away. And if people see me do that, they get all mad about it.
I don't understand why. I know. It's like, how
3 aisles away.
It's not like you had a child in the cart and I was like trying to give them candy and see if they want to go shopping with me. Like that I can see, but just an empty cart that's just occupying nowhere and you're putting it off to the side. Yeah. What's the big deal?
Well, I'm not putting it off to the side. I'm making a point and pushing it 12 miles away.
Why just knock it over and just leave everything skewed over? Just like,
no, but then the workers have to clean that up. So no, I have, again, that's all part of the respect. I feel bad for those workers when I'm walking up and down the toy aisles in Target and shit's on the floor. I feel bad for those guys. They got to clean up after these fucking animals that go through there.
People just drop shit. Like I'll actually always put it back, or at least put it back where I think it basically kind of should be.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
But we're considerate, man. We're considerate. People.
We were raised correctly.
You were assholes, but we're selectively assholes only to the people who deserve to be treated that way. Right. But if not, we're good, right?
That's right.
I fucking love it. That's why I'm a Mets fan. You're a Yankees fan, and we're cool. We're tight. We're friends. We're professional colleagues in the same field. Right. So I dig it. You know, that's what this world needs more of. That's what the show's about. Getting people that even if like we're on opposite sides of the spectrum, can we at least talk and disagree like we're friends, right? And have a beer afterwards, or drink, you know, or drink while we're doing it. So what do we got tonight? What are we drinking on? What kind of beer we? Nice. I love those tops to there, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The tops, and because it's resealable, so you can just.
I know that's always the greatest thing about it. Yeah.
And then you're good to go for a little while.
I got me some Old Forester, 1910, bourbon. Wasn't bought in 1910, obviously. I'm not paid that well. But it's amazing. I went down to bourbon country this past weekend, and I went to like the Woodford Distillery, Buffalo Trace, Four Roses, and just went to some really cool liquor stores. Got some little supply I brought home, and then it was just good. I like going to like a bar, like a bourbon bar, and then the bottles that you would never be able to afford or just refuse to pay that. Like I'm just going to do one glass. Right. And so I did the most expensive one I did a 10-year Pappy Van Winkle.
Wow.
And dude, it was amazing.
Fucking expensive.
It was $35 a bottle. It was $35 for a glass. And I was just like, fuck it. That's the only opportunity. I'm just going to do it one time. Right. And dear God, man, that was only the 10 and it was so goddamn good. It was and it was only the 10. It's a beautiful thing. I've rarely had something that's been built up like, oh my God, it's amazing. And then actually like live up to it. And first sip, you're just like, oh man, this is going to ruin me. So it really was that good.
Well, that's when I saw your post, I immediately knew that was the Woodford Reserve tasting area after the tour. They bring you into the tasting area. They give you the 3 different shots and the wheel of, you know, what goes in it. And the fucking, I said, you're in fucking, I was just there. I just went there this summer. We went to Lexington.
I loved it. What was your favorite one that you went to?
I only did Woodford because we were only there for basically like the weekend plus a day or so. So I went to Woodford because that's what I drank all the time here at the house.
I love Woodford. I literally found it out by accident. I was shopping for a friend for his birthday. So I was like, I had a bottle of Four Roses and a bottle of the Woodford. And I was going to take the Four Roses. And I was like, fuck it. I'll keep the Woodford. I'll give him the Four Roses. Tried it. I'm like, all of a sudden, it's one of my best favorite bourbons that's out there. And it's like $35 a bottle, but it was nice. I brought back, they have a malted bourbon, and then I got this wheated bourbon that they have there, and then I got the double oaked bourbon. It is.
The double oaked is the one I drink all the time. The one you got, the $35 bottle, that's the Distiller Select.
The Distiller Select,
double oaked is like $60 a bottle.
Yeah, they actually down there it was only like I think it was 45 down there, so a lot less taxes because it's only gone through one state. Right, so it was kind of nice, but yeah, dude, it was really good. And I got a Four Roses single barrel. That's really really good. And then the only one that was disappointing was Buffalo Trace. They had like no Wellers, no E.H. Taylors for sale. It was just Buffalo Trace for sale. So, but it's still, I mean, Buffalo Trace is amazing. So it's kind of like complaining, like, oh God, I only got to meet Derek Jeter. Like I wanted to meet everybody.
One thing that got me that I don't understand, and probably never will. When I don't know, did you drive or fly?
We drove.
You drove. Okay, so from New York, we flew. It'd be a long ass drive. So we flew down to Lexington, Kentucky. And when we were at Woodford, I got one of those, a little bottle that they make specifically for the tour. You can only buy it at Woodford Distillery. So I bought a little bottle and put it in my luggage on the way back. And I told the guy, I said, it's a small bottle. Can I take it in my carry-on? They're like, no, if it's over 3 ounces, you have to put it in your check bag. I said, okay, fine. Put it in the check bag. So I go, through the gates, and we're waiting for the plane to come. So I start wandering around. Inside there is a liquor store with giant bottles of fucking bourbon. Those I can take on a plane.
Those you can.
But I can't take what I brought in with me on the plane. I don't understand and never will. There's literally a liquor store with the full-size bottles of Woodford and, Buffalo Trace and all those whiskeys.
Oh, by the gate. I guarantee it's how it's taxed. Because think about like with everything there, everything for so long was how things are taxed, what's considered bourbon, how many hands it can touch, what you can put into it.
Right.
So my guess would be is that because when you buy it at the places outside of there, you only get maybe the one tax, but maybe when you buy it at their liquor store, it's like technically it has the like maybe interstate tax that you have to pay extra, like something stupid like that.
I don't. It's because the bottle I bought was literally like that big. It's a small little bottle. But then I could buy full-size bottles of fucking alcohol and bring them on the plane. So that means I could buy it, put it in my carry-on, get fucking trashed on the plane, cause a disturbance because I was already through security. That didn't make sense.
It's dumb. It makes no sense. What can you do though, right? But hey, we still brought our hooch back, right? And
of course we did.
Right, we still got it back, so we're good to go, man. Right?
Good.
It'd be easier to like smuggle drugs than it would be a bottle of something. It's like that's how fucked up it is. Like they know that.
100% correct.
You're not putting a bottle of Woodford up your ass unless like you've been through you've seen some hard time, or maybe like you're just not. So it's like you didn't catch like the 5 keys of blow I have hit up me, but you got my Woodford mini bottle. God damn, you got me.
You got me.
You got me.
But you know what? It's Christmas time. We should be happy about things.
It is Christmas. You know what, man? Hey, it's Christmas time. Drinking bourbon, doing some podcasting. It can't any better than that. So all right. So now I kind of thought like some fun like little topics, right? So I guess the first one I kind of had. Was, like, what is like one of your favorite memories or stories about like Halloween or Christmas? It could have been from a kid, it could have been as an adult, could have been something messed up, could have been something sweet. But what's one of your like your most fondest or just like strongest memories of the holiday?
Well, I just memories of the holiday itself. I always loved going to my grandmother's house because we'd always every year we'd eat at my grandmother's house, and as soon as we get in there, that smell of the food cooking. Like it covered the entire house, and my grandma only lived like 6 blocks away, but it seemed like a long walk in the cold on Christmas Day. You're cold and you can't wait to get there, and as soon as you get in, that smell of the food and the tables all set up, and I'll always remember that. That's probably another reason why I really like Christmas time so much. Just that memory of going to my grandmother's house, and it was just always a nice day. It was never anything bad, and that goes back to the experiences. I always had a good time. So that's I'll always have that memory, and I try to, I hope my kids have that too. Like, as we cook for Christmas, I hope that that smell of the food will never leave me. I'll always remember that smell of the food, and I hope my kids have that kind of feeling as well.
Well, even like the traditions. I mean, even the food, about when you made it, how you made it, what restaurants maybe you went out to before. Those are the things I always looked forward to, and it was like that repetitiveness, but there was like this comfort in it. It didn't even matter how like old you were. I remember even being in college. My sister had always slept over the night. Didn't matter how old we were. And it had like that comforting kind of feel, and like I always had really positive memories of Christmas. I never ever really had anything, no crazy drama, nothing, nothing, nuts. And it's just that I find, and that's where I love recreating those now. My daughter's 5.5, and the last 2, I would say she really has gotten into it. Now this year it was like a month out, counting the days down. Only 30 days, only 20 days, only 15 days. And just like, and then just how my wife and I have combined a lot of their traditions that we do with our traditions. And yeah, man, it's just really cool. It is a really cool time of year, especially being up north again and feeling more like Christmas. It's just awesome,
It is. And I'd say I hate snow, but I always said the one day I really wanted to snow, or the 2 days, would be Christmas Eve and Christmas Day.
Yeah.
And after that, I wanted to all melt. But those 2 days, we need snow. It needs to snow those days.
Oh, I totally agree. Yeah, it's it is amazing. But that being said, though, sometimes, despite our best efforts, sometimes things go south, or sometimes just the most amazing kind of things have kind of happened forever, or etched and seared into your brain. So I know I have like 2 kind of in my head. One of them's kind of like technically the best and worst memory at the same time, and one is just the worst, and it still has scarred me to this day. So I'll let you go first, Big B. So like, what is like something, that story that just jumps out at you, that just is, just it's etched and seared in your memory?
I have a story that I like to tell, and it's not a bad thing. It's not a good thing or a bad thing. It's just a funny story.
It's just a
it's just a funny story. If you know me, but for those who don't know, I'm a heavy metal guy.
No, I don't buy that.
No, not at all. Nothing but polka for me. But I played in a metal band throughout the 90s, went all over the country. I have long hair. I listen to metal. I got a fucking Slayer shirt on underneath here. So everything's metal. But I also I can appreciate live performances. So I don't care what type of music you do. If you put on a good live performance, I'll sit there and watch it. So whatever, I don't remember what it was, but you probably remember it. Back in the 90s, there was this big Central Park concert with Garth Brooks.
Oh, yeah.
It was on HBO. It was huge. It was this monster thing.
No, wait a minute. Was this pre or post Chris Gaines era Garth Brooks?
No, it was post Chris Gaines.
Post Chris Gaines. Okay.
It was post Chris Gaines. So I watched it. I don't like country music at all. I could care less about it, but I watched the concert and it hooked me. He put on a really, really good fucking show.
Yeah.
I don't care about his music, but as a performer, he did an awesome job. The crowd was engaged. He was so energetic. It was great. I really liked the performance. So I was living with my girlfriend, who's now my wife, but she was my girlfriend at the time. And I told her, I said, yo, this Garth Brooks show is great. You got to watch it next time it comes on HBO. Somehow that made it back to my parents. And now my father is a huge country music fan. He grew up, country music nonstop throughout the house. I can't fucking stand country music. But my extreme like for the concert of Garth Brooks made it back to my parents. And come Christmas Day, my father gave me the entire Garth Brooks collection.
Damn.
Every fucking album he ever made.
He's probably been waiting for that day. He's like, please God, just wait. And he probably already had it dusted off, organized, ready for in chronological order, I bet, of which ones to listen to.
It had to have been, because I get it was all in one package. And I'm like, what is this? I start unwrapping it and it's like, Garth Brooks. What the fuck is going on? Well, I heard
even the best of the B-sides.
Oh yeah, it was Garth Brooks, the deep tracks. Great. I said thanks.
Oh, that's awesome.
He says
the early years.
This is his music's really good. You gotta. It's like, thanks. I never opened one CD.
Oh God!
But it was just one of those things where he just took it to the extreme. It wasn't like, if it comes out on DVD, if it comes out on DVD, I'll get it to your VHS.
I got word got back to him. Like probably no one even said anything. Probably someone got to take a piss mill in it. They're like, oh my God, he's watching it. And somehow word got back to your dad, and he's just like, I knew it. I've been waiting for it. Probably had a safe, was unlocking it, triple doing it, dusting it off, had white gloves pulling it out. It's like the Excalibur.
It was literally every album he made up until that point, whatever year it was. I don't remember. It was 90 something. Now, every single album he made.
Did you ever tell him that you never listened to it?
No, of course not. I'm never gonna. I was just like, great, yeah. I'll listen to the concert was really good, and some of the songs were catchy. I'll throw on the CDs. Never.
That'd be one of those where I hope you just randomly, every Christmas, you'd pick one song that you were gonna listen to. Because your dad would ask you, so have you listened anymore? You know what I really loved? It was live in Caterheim. It was 72. He was early in his years, but I loved track number 13. My tractor blew a tire. It was fucking amazing. It was early. It was raw, but you heard the sound. Right. So I loved it, Pops. Anything else? Nah, I like to dive into one for a couple of months, just over and over again. That's where I'm at right now.
I like to immerse myself in it, so I get it from all sides. It's a very slow process.
We've all done it, though. We've all gotten that gift where we just totally lie and say, oh, my God, it's amazing. And
it's the best thing ever.
It's the best fucking thing ever. I love it. I use it every day.
Let's fast forward to yesterday. Real quick. So my wife, like I said, we do Christmas with her family. We did yesterday. So my wife, we usually do Secret Santa because we don't want to buy everybody fucking gifts. So everybody pulls a hat and, you know, gets one name and we buy them gifts. So my wife gives me this gift that she was so excited to give me. She couldn't wait to give it to me. It was almost not going to be delivered on time. This is how she describes it. She wraps it up. She said, "This is great. Here you go." I unwrap it. It's William Shatner sings Christmas songs.
Yes. Oh my God, that is awesome.
Yeah.
Oh man. Now here's a question: was it a serious gift or a test gift, or just I really thought you would like it?
She said she likes it.
For my money, though, Rocket Man that like William Shatner does is pretty damn funny.
No, I have to say, I've heard William Shatner. Yeah, I've heard William Shatner do some hits, and it's pretty funny. So I will give the William Shatner Sings Christmas a listen.
Although the parody of the parody, like Stewie and Family Guy did a parody of William Shatner parodying. You know?
Really?
Yeah, and so it's like Stewie smoking a cigarette, burning out this fuse, out here alone. Oh man, that's a good one. As soon as
I opened it, I flashed back to 1990 whatever and opening the Garth Brooks collection. I immediately flashed back to that.
Oh god, I love it. Oh, that's a good one. So all right, so I'll go with a good one. All right, I'm gonna start with like the positive and negative one, the best and worst, the same exact time, right? So now, growing up, me and my sister were, we'll just say that we were dicks when it came down to trying to get my parents to give us like a present early. So like it turned in like, first it was, you know, open them Christmas morning, but then it would be, well, can we open one on Christmas Eve, right? Then that became like the new thing, right? But then that quickly then turned in, can we just open up presents, like one big one or whatever? So then it turned to Christmas Eve, right? So now, of course, that was us being dicks, my parents giving into it, right? You know, it could have been a character building lesson, right. But they're like, no. Of course, now with our daughter, we're like, fuck no, yeah, you open that shit up. You know, sorry. But yeah, different story, different day. But so it was the year Nintendo came out. Now, Nintendo Entertainment System, everybody wanted one. Everybody who was anybody was going to get one, but it was limited edition. Like, you know, you had to put that shit on layaway months before, right? Mm-hmm. So I knew my parents had got one. I knew they had gotten it because I saw that shit underneath the bedroom, the floor, underneath their bed. It's where they hid all the gifts. So, like, literally, I'm telling all my friends, dude, we're going to play it Christmas Day. So excited. So rip it open, act surprised, like, oh my God, I had no idea I was going to get one. Rip it open a box up, you know, pull out the Nintendo, get the controllers out, and there's one thing missing. You know what that is?
The power cable?
The fucking power pack was just missing. Rip that shit open. And of course, I'm probably like, I don't know, man. I was probably like maybe 7-ish, somewhere like, I think it was like 87, 88 when it came out. So dude, I'm like, I don't remember 100%, even though like it's etched in my brain of me just like crying on the bed, right? Now, somehow, to this day, I've never gotten a straight answer. I don't even know technically how, because this wasn't the day of like, hey, we're open on Christmas morning. Fuck our employees. We're going to make some money, right? So it's Christmas Eve. It'll still light up. So I think we've somehow finagled to get our presents way early. So all I know is that I'm crying. My dad mutters something. I think he was having like a vodka tonic, probably just about to lay back into that dad glow, that mom and dad glow of we just gave the fucking awesome gifts. We're gonna And then all I know is my dad fucking downs his drink, grabs the thing, and I'm just in my room just bawling, right? I'm just like, this is the worst thing fucking ever. Now I have no idea how much time has elapsed. I know it did get dark and I was up there for a while. All I know is there's a knock on the door. I'm like, what? What is it? And then, sure as shit, here comes mom walking in with a brand new Nintendo with a power pack and everything. Now, at the time, I'm like, this is fucking awesome, right? But it wasn't until years later when all of a sudden it started kind of going, well, wait a minute, man. This is like 3, 4 o'clock on Christmas Eve, 1987, 1988. How the fuck did you get that? Like, what did you have to do? Because one, was that place even open? 2, there wasn't any of those things anywhere. And he was back really quickly. I'm just like, what did my dad do? Like, part of me wanted to look back. and you probably might know, there might be like the KB toy store murder, Columbus, Ohio at the Newmarket Mall. No one's been able to figure it out circa 88 Christmas Eve. I don't know. Maybe you do. I don't know what happened, but my ass got that. So it went from like the worst to the best. I just remember playing Rad Racer. This is fucking awesome. And Mario Brothers. This is fucking awesome.
See, now I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Could it be possible that your parents took the Power Pack to teach you a lesson?
Ooh, you'd have to ask them that one.
And maybe they underestimated your reaction, because once you saw that you were upset crying, they were like,
"Oh, you know what, dude? I've never kind of like what those parents do in the Halloween, like we ate all your candy, like they punked me before you could punk somebody."
Yeah, it's because you just said that you always pushed your parents to get presents early.
You know what, dude?
Maybe they were like, you know what? Fuck him.
Here, fuck him. We're gonna let him sweat it out for a minute, and then
no, open it. Yeah. I dare you.
And well, but the funny thing is, it was probably like, in my mind, it was like probably 2 or 3 hours. In reality, it was like 10 minutes. They're probably like, all right.
That's what I'm thinking.
All right, because like you know what? That just blows my mind. I literally, up until I never would thought my parents would even be that diabolical. You know what? This is a whole new hypothesis to test out now.
Well, like you said, it's Christmas Eve, 1987. Stores aren't open. Like, everybody's closing early on Christmas Eve because everybody goes home with their families.
Exactly.
So it's not like you're going down to like the local KB or Toys R Us and they have them. Even back then, that was a hot item. They're sold out.
Yeah. You know, dude. All right. So Mrs. or Mrs. Devine are going to have to answer to this. I'm gonna have to ask them straight up.
I almost guarantee they took the Power Pack and said, you know what? Go ahead, open it. Yeah, go play.
Literally, that does make a lot more sense. I would have never thought they would do something like that, but that to me makes a lot more sense in figuring out how they went back to the store.
See, because that's something I would do.
Because even if he left, he probably just left to go to the bar and grabbed a beer and then came back. Oh, I found it. Hero of the day. Yeah, I'm awesome. Oh man, big beast. This is why I love having this show. You get me to think in ways I would have never even thought before. You know,
because literally that's something I would do. If my oldest son, badgers me for things, I'll take one little piece away and say, "Yeah, go ahead, go play with it."
You know what? And the thing is, like, my parents are those East Coasters. You know, like what they say, they live right in that whole little corridor up there, the I-95. So you guys have the similar mindset. So if you're willing to go that far and do it, they're sure as shit willing to go for it and do it. They're
sure.
You know, my dad grew up in Easton. I think he got beat up by Larry Holmes. Right? Like literally, like he's like, oh yeah, Larry Holmes, what the Easton High School? Yeah, we used to call him the Easton Brawler. Yeah, I got beat up by him, along with every other white guy, that was at the school, and we got busted in there. I remember we watched. The whole Howard Stern, movie, Private Parts, and when he was showing a scene where he got bussed into the inner city school. He goes, dude, that was me. All my friends went to St. Pete's, and they were fine. No, I went to downtown Easton, where I was one of the only white guys out there. So he's like, I feel his pain. All right.
How many other people can say they got beat up by Larry Holmes?
Not many. And he was like proud about it. It wasn't like, I got beat up by Larry Holmes. It was like, yeah, my ass got beat up by him. Everyone else did. But yeah, I got beat up by him. Yeah, so what everyone else did. Yeah, why not?
Take that as a fucking badge of honor.
The thing is, I remember him telling me that when we were watching Larry Holmes get beat by Mike Tyson and watching that fight. That's when he told me, like, oh yeah, Larry Holmes. I'm like, they said like the Easton Brawler. I'm like, that's where you went. And he goes, oh yeah. And then funny stories like that.
There you go.
All right, so one last Christmas one. And this one, I think we talked a little bit about this off air, so I'm actually really curious. So everyone has their list of like favorite Christmas movies, but I kind of went around like, well, we're out like not only your favorite ones, but what are like the most overrated ones that you just don't like? And now I'm actually surprised on this one. So like, start off with your favorites, all right? And I'll go with my favorites, and then we'll go with the whole overrated.
So I actually had a 2-part answer. It's not movies, but it's a tradition in my house going back to when I was a kid. Every Christmas Eve, we watch Charlie Brown Christmas, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Frosty the Snowman. I forgot to add in How the Grinch Stole Christmas. So got it. Those are a must on Christmas Eve. As far as movies go, I love George C. Scott, A Christmas Carol. I think he's a fucking rotten bastard in that movie and plays it really well. Of course, Christmas Vacation. Always, it's a classic.
Classic. Yeah.
And Bad Santa. Bad Santa is fucking hilarious.
You said that when I was like, oh fuck, I love Bad Santa. That's another great one.
Bad Santa's great.
Well, there was like a gap. It seems like there wasn't any good ones, newer ones. It was like Bad Santa. It was like the 80s. You got a bunch. And then we had the early 90s, mid 90s with Bad Santa and Christmas Vacation. And then like nothing, And it seems more recently there's been a couple decent ones. But yeah, dude, Bad Santa's fucking awesome. Although I refuse to see Bad Santa 2, though. I have not seen it. I don't think I'm going to.
I saw it, and you don't want to.
Yeah, it's about it. From what I hear, it's about as good as I thought it was basically going to be.
Yeah, it's no good. But then on the flip side of that, you asked what my most overrated movie is, and for me, it's a Christmas Story. Everybody loves A Christmas Story. I don't get it. I watched it when I was a kid. I watched it when I was an older teenager. It never spoke to me. I never got into it. I never liked it. It was, to me, I don't know why there's a whole big deal about it.
God, that's interesting, because like, because that was one of my favorites. Like Christmas Vacation was one of my favorites. Christmas Story, one of my favorites. And when you kind of mention like overrated, I'm like, how's it overrated? But then if you were to ask me, well, Mike, why do you like it? What is it specifically about it that you like? And the thing is, like, I don't know if I could specifically even tell you what about it I like, aside from it was just what we watched growing up. It was just a movie. And even though you knew it was like way back in the day, I think it's funny. I know all the lines to it, just the idea of like, going to the Chinese food and then the BB gun and just the like all that. I get it, right? But then it's like, why do I really like it? It's like, ooh, that's a tough one, because it's not overtly crazy funny, but it is funny. It's not overtly emotional, like heartfelt. It's just what it is. It just, I don't know. It's just it's just a movie I watched a bunch of times growing up.
See, and to me, I look at it as just because it has become a Christmas tradition, right? It always used to play 24 hours a day on TBS, Turner Broadcasting System, 24 hours a day of A Christmas Story. And just because it's a holiday tradition doesn't mean it's good. It's just everybody watches it.
Yeah.
And that's why I say it's overrated, because it's not a hugely great fucking film. Yeah. It's like It's a Wonderful Life. Not a great film, but it's always on Christmas.
So, all right, that was the one I was gonna say. It's a Wonderful Life, just because, dude. Like, I have such a difficult time watching it. It's like I get it in theory of why people like it so much, about what it represents. Here's this guy that was borderline suicidal, and life was not going good, and he's like, "Why am I even alive?" And then he looks back in his life and realizes life is worth living. All right, I get that, but it's like, man, like. It is tough to watch. Just like a lot of old movies, it's really tough just to kind of watch it. And I don't know. I think it might be a little overrated. I get it's a classic, so you don't want to shit on it. It's like saying like I think Led Zeppelin is a little overrated. I don't think they're bad, but I do think they're a little overrated. More of a Pink Floyd and a Beatles guy. But yeah, I mean, neither here nor there. But the same kind of thing. I don't know. But I would agree with you on that one. Now, what about?
Like I said, I was just saying, like I said, just because it's a tradition doesn't make it good.
Yeah.
And by the way, as far as music goes, the Beatles, hugely overrated. Fucking.
A lot of people say that. I think Beatles are take it or you like it. I think they're the most polarizing band, where you either think they're one of the best or you just think they're radically overrated. Now, what about Pink Floyd? Pink Floyd overrated?
No, I love
Pink Floyd. Pink Floyd. Have you ever met anyone that doesn't like Pink Floyd?
No, actually, everybody.
People go like, I don't listen to them all the time. I'm yet to ever meet anyone that says they do not like Pink Floyd.
No, I can't. I can't say that I've run across anybody like that either.
Yeah, I mean, it's like saying, do you like oxygen?
Right.
Do you like water? Do you like sex? You're not gonna get anyone that goes, no, fuck water, right. Fuck it in the face, man. Oxygen's overrated. Like, I like CO2 is so much better. Like. I'm just saying, you don't get it. So, all right, we can agree on that one, all right? So, so, all right. So, I guess, this is what I'm actually kind of, curious about. So, when you look at, you have, like, modern movies, you have older movies, but then there's this whole new movement of Christmas movies, right? Where it's a redefining that it's a Christmas movie. So only recently, and you brought up this one, Die Hard is a Christmas movie. Now, somebody said to me, and I was like, that's fucking blasphemy, right? But then they go, it's over Christmas. You know, there's a Christmas party that's the backdrop to it.
Sure.
The second one, backdrop to Christmas and snow. And it's like, technically speaking, is it a Christmas movie? Just because there's an element of Christmas in it. So, I mean, what do you think? What camp are you in? And you had even another interesting take to it.
Well, my thought behind it is no, it's not a Christmas movie.
Yeah, I don't think it is.
It's an action movie that takes place around Christmas.
Yeah.
And like I said in our chat, if you're going to consider Die Hard a movie, then Lethal Weapon is a Christmas movie, Trading Places is a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
And I would say Lethal Weapon is more of a Christmas movie because it starts off with Jingle Bell Rock when the chick jumps out of the fucking building.
You got it.
And then the next scene is Mel Gibson selling Christmas trees to drug addicts, to drug dealers, trying to bust them. So that's even more of a Christmas movie than fucking Die Hard.
Trading Places over Christmas.
Trading Places completely over Christmas, and they move. They even go into New Year's with the final end scene. I take when people say that Die Hard is a Christmas movie, I equate that to the movie Titanic, where if Die Hard is a Christmas movie, then Titanic would be a documentary. It's not. It's a totally fictional movie based surrounded by a factual event.
Yeah.
Die Hard is an action movie surrounded by a festive holiday event. It's not a Christmas movie.
Totally agree. It's to me, it's just like, so what you're saying now is if it is, you know, if it just has Christmas in it, and pretty much, let's be honest, if it has, even if you're in New York and it's Christmas time when the movie takes place, you're basically saying that's what makes it a Christmas movie. And I go, no. What makes it a Christmas movie, if it's the central unifying plot line, has to be around Christmas. I think if you use that litmus test, can you say Lethal Weapon, Die Hard, or Trading Places is a Christmas movie? I don't think you can say it. It may have been the backdrop, but the central plot theme, it could have been anything, and it would not have changed the movies.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It could have been in the middle of August.
It could have been a 4th of July party. It could have been a Memorial Day party, a Bastille Day, a Boxing Day. It could have been a Super Bowl party. That's all that matters.
It could have been anything.
Yeah.
And you know, it's just again, that goes back to it's become a Christmas tradition that people watch it during the Christmas time, but it doesn't make it a Christmas movie.
I agree.
It's not fucking, you know, Rudolph. You know, Rudolph's not exploding things. If he did, then that would be a Christmas movie. It's an action movie in the backdrop of a holiday.
Yeah. And this is, to me, this is really what I think is wrong with America. Not to take Christmas and skew it into what's wrong with the world, but it's having no tact, no, I guess, base in reality claim about what something is, right? So it's a Christmas movie, and all of a sudden, oh yeah, it is a Christmas movie. Yeah, you're right. Like, they did mention the word Christmas, right? And it's like, it seems like it's just rife with that anymore. So it's like Christmas, isn't, a major holiday like that is now all of a sudden it's like, well, that's not even sacred anymore. We have our politicians acting like they're one thing over another. You have a guy like Trump who's like, I'm for the people. And it's like, it's weird. Like, you weren't for the people when you were just declaring bankruptcy and nothing worked out for you, and you stiffed the regular guy. But yet, I guess, all right, well, yeah, that's what you're billing yourself as. And now we have another one. Michael Bloomberg, this is like, so this is actually this show happened just to fall on Christmas. We've been bouncing around some dates to get you on, and so just happened to fall on this one. But all right, so we just had a Democratic debate, and what's interesting is that Michael Bloomberg just decided to enter the race. He's like, fuck it, I'm going to do it, right? Did what, a $30-some-odd million ad buy. He's not going to even campaign in Iowa, New Hampshire, any of the early states, because he's like, doesn't matter at all. He's not doing any of the debates, apparently, for as far as I know. He's just throwing money at this. And, you go on his website, you see this guy, he has his jeans on, And I even read, I mean, I went through his website. I read his policy positions, and his policy positions sound pretty legit, right? And you're looking at him going, this guy's like, oh, he's a millionaire? Like, or a billionaire. Oh, wow, he's a billionaire. Okay. Okay, so, okay, cool. He seems like a normal guy. But then now I'm just like, wait a minute. Is this like it's a Christmas movie? It's like Die Hard. It's like Donald Trump. He's an everyman. So I don't know anything about Bloomberg. I know he was, governor for a little bit, or mayor for a little bit. All I know about Bloomberg, all I can go is, my twice a year visits to New York. There was before Bloomberg, and homelessness wasn't really, the city was clean, wasn't all these big giant issues. After Bloomberg and during Bloomberg, fucking piles of shit on the sidewalk, homeless people fucking everywhere. I remember, was it a stop and frisk? That was a big thing that he took a big kind of hit for. I don't remember anything positive about him, but yet I read his website. I hear guys like Howard Stern talk about him, how like he's this amazing person and he just wants to do good for his money and doesn't seem to have an agenda. So I am so confused by this guy. And so what better than an actual New Yorker who may have been fucked by the guy and through, other devices, whether it be taxes, I don't know. So tell me about this mysterious wizard of Michael Bloomberg, and what is he really about? Who is the real Mike Bloomberg?
Realistically, Mike Bloomberg he's an extreme, out of touch elitist, and when I say out of touch, I'm not saying because he's a billionaire. That has nothing to do with it. He has no idea. His wealth has put him in the golden palace, so to speak, where he doesn't understand what everybody else goes through. And it's not because he's rich or whatever. This is where, there's plenty of rich guys that can really equate with the everyday guy. Yeah. Plenty of rich guys that can do it. I think Bill Gates is a great example of a guy that can just go hang out and be with, normal everyday people. Mike Bloomberg cannot. He has no idea what the normal everyday person goes through. So
what does he do? Like, what has he done that, like, to you clearly shows? Here's an example of like how out of touch this guy is.
Throughout his mayorship here in New York, he basically lived off of what Giuliani did. Now, when you came in and you saw like there's no homelessness or whatever, Giuliani's responsible for that. Yeah. Pre-Giuliani, when Dinkins was mayor here in New York, this city was a fucking disaster. There was crack and crime.
Yeah, he straightened it up really big time.
This city was a fucking disaster in the 90s. And Giuliani came in, really cleaned it up, sold Times Square, which at the time was the mecca for prostitution and drugs.
In adult film stores,
Square. Yeah, it was all the porn stores and all that. He sold Disney Times Square. He convinced Disney to come in, and the first thing that came in was The Lion King. The play The Lion King came in Times Square, in and amongst pimps and hookers and crack and drugs and guns and violence and gangs was The Lion King. And that was the start of what Giuliani did to start cleaning up the city. 9/11 happened right at the end of Giuliani's full term as mayor. His second term, he couldn't run for
term limits there. Yeah,
right, a term limit. So it was on September 11th. Obviously, we know the election was in November, and Bloomberg was really the only candidate that was running. I don't even remember who else was running against Bloomberg. Nobody of any note.
Did he say why he was running? Like, it seemed like he was maybe one of those first billionaires that's going, fuck it, I'm just going to run. I mean, like, why did he even say why he was running or what his angle was?
I don't remember. It was like to help the city get through 9/11, and only he could do it, and it was ridiculous. When Giuliani was the one that held our hand as a city through 9/11, through the days after, the weeks and days after 9/11, the city, we all said, now we understood that Giuliani's term was over, and we elected Bloomberg as a mayor. I didn't vote for him. But everybody was saying, let Giuliani stay on another 6 months. He's brought us this far. We're really just trying to get past 9/11 and start moving on with our lives. Let Giuliani stay on another 6 months. We're not taking the vote away from you. You will be the mayor. Just wait 6 months.
Yeah.
And he up in arms. No, he can't do that. That's term limits, blah, blah, blah. This is the law of the land is this. And Giuliani was like, he's right. It's his term.
Respected it,
I'm
yeah.
going to step away. It is what it is. He came in and really didn't do anything, just lived off what Giuliani did, basically, as far as cleaning up the city. Stop and frisk was a Giuliani thing. He just carried it through. And just what he did do was not take away what Giuliani did. But then he started putting in his agenda. And his agenda was to tax everything that he doesn't like. Was
he the soda tax? Was that him?
Yes.
Oh, that was Bloomberg. Okay.
That was Bloomberg. So it started with massive cigarette taxes. Now, whether you smoke or not, you agree with it or don't agree with it, it's a legal item. But Bloomberg was trying to tax it to the point of it not being viable for anybody to buy because he didn't like it. He personally didn't like it. Now, if you look at the cost of a cigarette, cigarettes in New York City cost between $13 and $15 a pack. Half of that is tax. Mm-hmm. Think about that for a second. Half of the cost of a cigarette pack is tax.
Well,
tax
I remember,
that Bloomberg instituted.
Yeah, I remember when I was in college, I smoked every, so often we would go out. And I remember, how it would be like, $2 a pack, and then it was $5 something a pack. And that was when it first started going to effect. And it's like, it's crazy. I mean, that's a lot. And so it seems like that's from what I've gathered is that he started putting in his agenda, but everything was kind of like taxed.
Every single thing was taxed.
Because I was looking even as it's like that's how he got his education. Now the thing is like, and this is the thing I'm most curious about is that so when you go like on his website and you read up on him, and so you see things like when he put like his school plan where it's like, hey, I increased their spending, by like, 10, it was like $10 million. And then we were able to get the African-American and Latino graduation rate up 40%. And so he would tout all these things. And now did his programs actually work? And it was just more the taxes than paying for, or did they not even really work? And he's just living in la la land.
Again, he's living off of what Giuliani did.
Yeah.
The things that Giuliani put into place in this city sent us forward. When Dinkins was mayor, we were like no better than Detroit or Cleveland or Baltimore. We were a fucking shithole of a city.
Yeah.
Giuliani cleaned it up. Bloomberg lived off that and took credit for it, just not taking Giuliani's things away. But again, as far as his public school, everybody puts money to public schools. It's not him that does anything. It's the school's chancellor. It's, he doesn't make any decisions as far as public schools. He can decide funding, but the school's chancellor and the Board of Education or Department of Education and all that, they're the ones that implement the program. So again, him taking credit for that is a bunch of nonsense. So once he started implementing his agenda, like you said, it was tax on everything that he didn't like. And he doesn't like people that aren't rich. So what he did was tax cigarettes to the hilt, taxed, like you brought up, the soda tax. He doesn't like people drinking sugary soda, so he's going to have a soda tax. So, and I sent you this link of what he had said back in 2000. Yeah. It's good to tax the poor. It's good to implement the soda tax so that way they won't buy it anymore.
Yeah.
That's not how it works.
And it's like in your mind, is it almost like in his mind, it's like he's trying to do good. He's like not like an evil, bad dude, but because he's so disconnected, it's like it can't ever work out in the right way.
It's not that he's trying to do good. It's that he thinks he knows it. There's a reason why people called him the Nanny Mayor, because he thinks he knows better than anybody else.
Yeah.
So you know what? Soda is bad for you. I'm going to tell you you can't do that. I'm going to tax it so you can't afford it. But what happens is it's not that people say, oh, it's taxed so much I can't buy it. They figure out a way to buy it because that's what they want. They lose out on other things. That's his version of trying to get people to not drink soda leads to, okay, I'm still going to buy the soda, but now I have to give up something else. I have to be late on some electric bill or something because my kid wants soda. You know, that's how out of touch he is, because he thinks he knows better than anybody else. And he even said in that link that I sent you, so government, a lot of times government knows better than the common man, which is absolutely bullshit. So what he did, and then he went after small business. He went after, you know how you go, you see a deli or whatever, and they have the signs out front, you know, the awnings, and they, you know, they have descriptions on it, whatever it is, you know, buy lotto here, whatever, you know, beer, soda, cigarette, whatever it is. Apparently, there's a law in New York, a law nobody ever paid attention to, but he decided to enforce because he doesn't like small business. He doesn't like people in Manhattan, small businesses in Manhattan, where if you had a sign that said anything other than your address and your name, you would be fined.
Yeah.
So all those stores that have everything on there, you know, buy lotto here, buy cigarettes, buy beer, you know, 5 cent, whatever. If you had that on your awning, you were fined. And, you know, businesses can't afford these extra fines. They're barely getting by as it is. So, you know, he's killing off small business because he's a big business guy. He's a big government guy. He built the Bloomberg. What Bloomberg is, if you don't know, is a stock market trading system. So everybody, you know, reads the Bloomberg. It's just a way to read the stock market. That's where he made his billions.
So that's where he made it, actually. Okay.
Yes. He invented the Bloomberg system. Obviously, Mike Bloomberg, and it's a stock market stock tool people use, and it became the standard. So that's where he made his billions. He sold it to Wall Street and you know, brokerage houses and all that. So again, he thinks he knows better than anybody else. And not only with the taxes, you saw how. And he wanted to implement what's called a congestion tax. Now, in the 5 boroughs, to get into Manhattan from the other 4 boroughs, if you're driving, you generally have to pay a toll to go across a bridge, to go through a tunnel, whatever it may be. You have to pay a toll. Everybody's okay with that. Everybody does it. What Bloomberg wanted to do was add a congestion tax because he doesn't like cars in Manhattan. So if you were below 70-something street and you were driving, you would be, an added tax would be applied to you. I guess he'd set up sensors or whatever that would read
kind of like
it,
to keep people off the road almost. You
would be exactly. Yeah. You would be charged. So not only are you charged to go in Manhattan through the tolls of the bridges and the tunnels, but then if you were below 73rd Street or whatever it is, if you were below there, you got to pay again.
Yeah.
So now what are the main people that go into Manhattan? Small business deliveries, you know, delivery trucks, delivery drivers.
Oh, wow. They didn't even get an exception if you were like a transit type of.
No.
Oh, wow.
No, he didn't want cars in Manhattan.
Gotcha.
Obviously, this never passed, but because everybody was like, what the fuck?
Kind of like what they're doing at LaGuardia, was that you're not allowed. They don't want any of the Ubers or any like that. Now, like in LaGuardia, it's the same deal. Yeah.
TLC's up in arms about, you know, the yellow cabs are all, you know, we don't want Ubers. So you know, it's kind of the same thing. That never passed, but a lot of his taxes did. And what he did was squeeze out small businesses because ultimately he wanted Manhattan to be for him and his cronies. Now, keep in mind, through all these taxes, cigarette tax, sugar tax, you know, whatever, you know, you can't have a fucking sign tax. What's the one thing he didn't tax?
Oh, I have no idea.
Alcohol.
Oh.
You know why?
No.
Because him and his friends like to drink wine. They like to go and drink wine on the weekends and whatever.
Which makes no sense. If you're going to tax pop, why not tax alcohol and tax?
Because he likes alcohol.
That's kind of messed
Everything
up.
he taxed, he didn't like. Cigarettes, soda, whatever, he didn't like. He never taxed alcohol.
So how did he get away with this as a Republican? Because he was a Democrat, up until 2000s. He was a Republican pretty much almost the entire time he was mayor, right?
Nope, he was independent.
Independent. He switched over, right? Like he went from Democrat, Republican, and independent.
So Bloomberg, this is how he rolls. He was a Democrat, turned to Republican to run for mayor because everybody loved Giuliani as a Republican. So hey, I'm with Giuliani. I'm a Republican. Vote for me. Once he got in, he became an independent.
Oh, so he got elected and then switched over.
And then switched and became an independent.
What's weird, though, you'd think like Democrats would have loved him because of the tax, and the big government. But the thing is, if you look at his approval, he had the lowest approval rating among Democrats there. But the odd thing I saw in there, though, was that, so like it was kind of like first couple of years he had like a 70 some odd percent approval. Then it went down to like the 40s, like, and pretty much. But then in his exit polling, when people thought about, hey, looking back, 64% said they thought more highly or more like lovingly about it. So what was the deal with it went from good and then it was a shit sandwich in the middle, but then only retrospectively the majority of people thought he wasn't such a bad guy.
So here's another thing about Bloomberg. Again, he started off just living off of Giuliani. Now, keep in mind, remember, when the election happened, 9/11 was just there. Everybody wanted Giuliani to run to be mayor for 6 more months.
Right.
And of course, he was all up in arms about, no, we can't do that. What happened at the end of, as mayor, you only get 2 term limits. What happened at the end of the second term when Bloomberg was mayor? He changed the law so he could get a 3rd term.
Oh, that's right. I totally forgot about that.
Right. So,
oh, shit.
So in the beginning, everybody loved him because he was just riding off of what Giuliani did.
Yeah.
Then he started implementing his agenda.
The Barry Switzer effect. He took, it's like the Barry Switzer effect for the Dallas Cowboys.
When he took the Dallas Cowboys.
Took Jerry's team, Jimmy Jones's team, right. Won it. But then when it became his own recruiting, his own deal, and Jerry Jones doing it, what happened? Ran it into the ground. Yeah.
That's exactly what happened.
Okay, it makes sense.
And he thought, again, Nanny Bloomberg knows better than anybody else. Nobody else can run the city better than him. He's going to change the law so he can run for a 3rd term. Now, that almost backfired on him because he barely won. Everybody was sick of fucking Bloomberg at that point. Everybody hated him. But the opponent was so god-awful that it was like, all right, fucking.
It was kind of like John Kerry going up against George Bush when he was very beatable. It's like, who are you going to vote for? Yeah,
exactly.
Okay,
it's the exact same thing.
That
So and the one good thing that I will always say Bloomberg did was implement a phone number here in the city called 311. Now everybody knows 911 is an emergency number that's universal across the country. 311 is a city number for the 5 boroughs that you can contact for anything other than an emergency. So if there's a crack in the sidewalk, there's a hole in the street that needs to be filled and it's dangerous, somebody could hurt themselves, you call 311. That's a city agency. They contact the correct agencies to come out and fix it. I've called 311 a few times where the light post outside of my house was like wobbling. It was broken from a storm, and I called 311.
That's really cool, actually.
I will always give him credit. Yeah. That's a very great thing.
He gets credit for that. He gets love for that one.
And that's probably why, for the most part, at the end of his term, his rating shot up, because 311 was a really, really good fucking thing, and something we all still use to this day. It's a really, really good thing. That's his one brilliant.
It's like the recency effect. You tend to remember the first and the last things that of something. It just kind of fell into that. Now, here's a $1 million question though for you. Is that, a lot of people don't. And I've tried telling people this, the whole Donald Trump thing. Like, I'm not a huge fan of Donald Trump, but what I was telling them, I go, how he's running the country is how you run a business in New York. You can only run a business in New York like only in New York. Just like if you're in Chicago, you can only run a business like that in Chicago. It's just the way it is. And if you're from those areas, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So when you talk about how you get things done, greasing the wheels, it's not corruption. It's, is that what I have to do to get things passed? The bravado, the fakeness, and all that. That's just New York style politics, New York personalities, right? Now, the thing is, though, the very thing that you describe about Bloomberg, I'm the best, no one else knows better than me. We got a man in the presidency right now who's also a billionaire who says the same damn things. Why is it that it plays better with Donald Trump than it does with Bloomberg? What's the difference between the two?
Trump actually has results. If you look, no matter if you like him or not, and most people who don't like him won't recognize the fact that we have a really good economy right now because he pulled back a lot of fucking Obama's regulations. He deregulated a lot of stuff. Our economy is good. Jobs are coming back. I don't ever look at the stock market as a measuring stick for the economy, because that's based upon speculation that can go up and down depending on how somebody feels that day. I look at GDP growth, unemployment numbers, and the overall growth of the economy. And we're in a booming economy at this moment. We're in record low unemployments, is for decades old, record low minority unemployment. Trump is getting results. Bloomberg lived off of what Giuliani's results were. Giuliani got results in this city. Bloomberg did not. He lived off of what Giuliani did. And as you can see, the complete opposite of what's happening now in the city. De Blasio stripped away everything that Giuliani did, and the city's going back to shit.
Yeah.
So that's the big difference. They're both billionaires. They both think they know best. And anybody that's running for president thinks that they know best.
Right.
Let's not just put Donald Trump in that, or Bloomberg. Everybody on the Democratic panel thinks that they know best.
Yeah.
But Donald Trump is actually getting results. It's I voted for Trump because I certainly didn't want fucking Hillary running this country. But I'm surprised at the results that he's getting as far as the economy goes. And I love that he's also somebody that's whether it be fake or not, as far as the everyday man goes, he's standing up for the country. He's going to the renegotiating these trade deals where, my country's not paying for everything anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You have to kick in. We need new trade deals. You have to get some of our stuff. That's how you bring jobs back. That's how manufacturing comes back to this country. Manufacturing was always in China. It's been in China for decades because we sold it all off to them. Trump is trying to bring that back. And through these trade wars that everybody's up in arms about, and these tariffs, it's actually working because these jobs are coming back now. So Donald Trump is getting results. Bloomberg is not. And you know what? If he's not gonna do any debates, he's not gonna run in Iowa, he's not gonna run in these key states. All you have to do is look what happened to Hillary. Yeah. She did the debates, but she decided, you know what, I'm not going to go to Wisconsin. I'm not going to go to Ohio or whatever it was. And she lost those states badly.
Well, and this is what I'm trying to figure out. And this is what I'm hoping you can maybe shed a little light on, is because he's a smart guy, right? I would argue, he's a smart businessman. He's never, ever had to declare bankruptcy, so obviously he knows what he's doing, right? To me, this whole presidential thing that he's doing, I don't think anyone could foresee this working, right? And you have to know that he knows that, his team knows that this is not a strategy to win, especially getting in so late. So what's his purpose then? He has to know this isn't going to work. So if his purpose isn't to run for president and win, per se, knowing what you know about the guy, what is he doing? What is the purpose of what he's doing?
Feed his ego. And try to break down Donald Trump because they were business rivals.
Yeah, is that all you think it is? Just less to win, but seeing if he can do something that can beat Trump, whether it be his ad buys, whether it be just doing something. It's just to get Trump to lose.
Yeah, obviously he is in no way, shape, or form going to make it anywhere near the Democratic nomination.
Yeah,
especially if he's not doing debates and going in key states. But it's all because they were rival businessmen in New York. And it's just, I don't like Trump. I haven't liked him for decades. I have a rivalry with him. I'm going to knock him down.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Now, the thing is, though, if somebody that was actually likable, that was a billionaire like Trump, that was doing it technically probably for the right reasons, that maybe didn't have the political history, but had purely a successful business history, and somebody that was probably more of a moderate, do you think they could use the same technique that Bloomberg is doing and actually win if they had the money and actually likability? Or do you think it's like nobody at this late in the game could ever win?
If they had, I think likability is a big thing. Because again, look at what Hillary did. Hillary had all the money in the world. She had all the political.
She wasn't likable. Yeah.
She was a hateable human being.
And that's the one thing the Democrats still do not understand. Yeah. Especially that far left wing, they still do not understand that she was unlikable because they're so stuck on the fact that you only didn't like her is because she was a female, And it's like, no. I dislike her because I dislike her as a human being. There could have been, she could have a dick. She could have a pussy between her legs. It doesn't matter. She was going to be every bit as unlikable. And it's like, that's the problem with America. Well, at least the Democratic Party is that it's like Kamala Harris. I literally had someone on Twitter arguing me of not that everybody was secretly with implicit bias about being a black female, Kamala Harris. And I was like, well, no, I think my big reason why I didn't like her was that she was very narrow with her focus, and and then got cut off. And I was like, well, you just don't want to hear about a strong black woman basically saying that she's going to take, whatever the white man had before this and equalize it out and give the black people what they want. And literally, you can go on my Twitter feed and read it. And I was sitting there going, do you not see that would probably scare a lot of white people off? That doesn't scream, wow, that's a president for all of us. Oh, no, that's just a president for somebody who actually wants to punish me for shit that I didn't even do. So it's like the sins of the father, and you're saying I have to pay that back, and yet I'm supposed to vote out of her, out of what, guilty conscience? But that's where the Democratic Party is. And so then you have all these people now stepping up going, well, I can do it better. I can do it better. I think the only person that I'd be curious to step in there that's likable, get a guy like Mark Cuban that hates Trump, but would be doing it solely just because I know I could beat every one of you guys out there. I can outspend you. And here he has a media company. Here he has the messaging. That he would be the only person I think could maybe pull it off. But even then, man, it's like your team getting back in a game at the fourth quarter and you're down by 3 touchdowns. Can you get a quick touchdown, a stop, a quick touchdown, another stop, and a touchdown, and then go for a 2-pointer to maybe win the game or take it in overtime? Maybe. But, so we're not. Yeah, this ain't the beginning of the fourth quarter. This is like 10 minutes left in a fourth quarter, and you're still down by 3 touchdowns.
I would be very curious if somebody like Mark Cuban ran on the Democratic ticket, because he's done everything that people claim that Trump did and hate about him. Yeah. He went bankrupt several times, several failed businesses, ultimately got into computers and made his money. But everything that people hate about Trump, Trump had bankruptcies. Yeah. And my argument is, can you show me an entrepreneur that hasn't failed?
Yeah.
That's what entrepreneurs do. They try and fail.
Oh, dude, all I gotta say is, let's be honest. Most entrepreneurs got lucky with one good idea.
Yes.
And the thing is, you look at Cuban, his net worth from when he made it big to what it is now, he basically, every new venture that he does is barely enough to make it to where he doesn't lose any money. Mm-hmm. He has not increased his net worth at all. So a lot of these guys had one really great idea, and that was it. Now, given, it's like you're only at bat, fucking bases loaded, down by 3, bottom of the 9th, World Series, Game 7, hit a home run, and it's like you're walk off, like retire, you're good. But
sure, I literally had that with a company I used to work for. I won't mention any names, but it was owned. We got bought by a Japanese company, and the person that ran the Japanese company had one good idea, but he thought that he knew everything because he had the one good idea and made a shit ton of money. He thought that he knew best for every other venture, and every other venture failed.
Yeah,
it's the exact same thing. You have one good idea, and congratulations, you made a shit ton of money on that good idea. Good on you. But don't lecture me on fucking business ethics or business policies when you haven't done anything since your one good idea.
That's the problem.
As far as the Democratic ticket goes, as of right now, I don't see anybody that can beat Trump. There is not viable candidate. The person that comes closest in my mind, who I'm really starting to like, although her policies are probably going to be shit because they're liberal, is Tulsi Gabbard.
Tulsi has a way of talking. I think she would be an awesome Secretary of State or Secretary of Defense even. I think right now, I don't really know. She that's the thing. The beef I have with her is that I don't really know what any of her other policies are, because the only time she really gets any place to talk is in that little foreign policy little thing, which, it's not all that spectacular. I think the person who's interesting, I like Mayor Pete. He's quick with thinking. He's taken all the attacks. He hasn't withered underneath the spotlight. And then this past debate where it was awesome. He was prepared. I like him because he's prepared. He's never caught Like you can tell there hasn't been anything that him and his team have not already mentally thought of, which it's like a Bill Belichick, where it's like they always are prepared for something, right? So he knew in his right mind that they were going to nail him for his high-priced donors, right? So he knew every angle. So Elizabeth Warren literally went after him for his little wine dinner. And then number one, he totally called her out for it. He's ready for it. He goes, like, but the thing is, though, you literally, that's all you did during your Senate campaign, took all that money and just forwarded it over to your presidential campaign, and now all of a sudden it's not good. He goes, and when he goes, I think if this is your litmus test, you wouldn't even be able to pass your own litmus test. And sure as shit, what came out today, that she had her own like $1,900 per person wine mixer, like the same exact thing. And like I like that about him. Our last or 2 shows ago, one of the shows that we did was, is the country ready for a gay president? That's the thing that I just don't know. And I hate to say that, but when you look at the data and the stats, but you know, it is, there's not a lot of people out there that you think can beat Trump, especially with the impeachment debacle, the way that it's gone. I hate Trump. I don't like him. I don't disagree with his policies. I vehemently disagree with the modalities he picks to get to enact his policy. To me, it's like, as a car guy, it's like you have 2 choices. You can get more horsepower of nitrous, and you get more horsepower of a supercharger, right? Both same amount of horsepower. One is going to destroy the engine, and you'll get your horsepower. It's a little bit cheaper. It's easier to put on, but it's going to destroy your engine. Or the other one, same amount of horsepower, cost more, but it will last the whole life of your car. Trump is the nitrous oxide. He goes for the easy, low-hanging fruit. He doesn't have to, and it frustrates me that more people who are kind of independently minded people that really just support him don't go, dude, I agree with everything you're doing, but the way in which you're doing it, you don't have to do it that way, man. You don't have to do the negativity. You don't have to take everything personal. But
here's the thing with Trump, that's who everybody voted for. Everybody that voted for Trump, he's not something. He is not something that you didn't know going in.
Now, does he switch though?
Like, oh my God, we knew this going in.
Does he switch though in a second term though, when he doesn't have to worry about getting elected again? Does he all of a sudden reverse course and now think about a total legacy, not just among him being president to his only supporters?
No.
You don't think he does?
Trump is Trump.
He is who he is.
And that's one of the things that endears so many people to him. Yeah, he can be a vile person. He calls out people. He goes on Twitter rants. But this is who everybody voted for. He's not a fake individual. He's not somebody that was, played goody-goody in the campaign trail and is suddenly, turned, the bad face. He's always been this way.
Yeah.
So this isn't a surprise. This is what, again, the Democratic voters don't understand. His policies are working. We don't care that he's a vile individual. He gets shit done. I don't care how he does it. He gets it done.
And that's where it's like, and I was actually going to wrap the show up this way. So like, I'll start off with mine just because perfect segue. I'm going to have you do the same. Like your one wish for Christmas, right? Mm-hmm. And so my one wish is kind of like a twofold thing. So like number one, if I really do wish that Trump would kind of take a look at the nation and kind of go, hey, listen, like I have 2 choices here. My people are going to vote for me regardless. They're going to support me. They love me. I ain't going to lose them. Mm-hmm. Can I sit here and go, you know what? There's 2 ways of me enacting my agenda. I can do it in a way that actually doesn't rile people up as much, and it still gets everything done. Maybe not as fun, not as flashy, but you know what? It's going to stop a lot of this rhetoric, and technically it will expose Democrats or anybody else who's against me. They keep attacking me when I'm not attacking them. Mm-hmm. I would love that, because I think then that would calm the country down, because I think, we can argue about who started what, but I look at he has the most influence over everybody in this world, in this country. Mm-hmm. And if he at the top were to go, all right, you know what, regardless of who did what to whom, this is how I'm going to play this from here on out, and I want you guys to follow suit. I think things would change. And then the second part would be if Democrats like really are interested in winning this election, my wish for them is that they would sit there and go, you know what? Instead of sitting there fighting and this guy being the most awful, reprehensible human being, why can't we sit there and make the issue about, listen, you're right, he has done this really good. he has done this good, but here's my beef, is that he doesn't have to do it this way.
Mm-hmm.
And that there's a different way of doing it that actually brings the country together. And I'm not going to be that person that tears it apart. I'm going to stand for bringing it together. I want to stick to the things that I think he's doing well. There's areas that I think he should be doing a lot different, and I don't agree with that. But if they can do that, all of a sudden we can have an election that's about who's the better candidate rather than this bullshit of tabloid and headlines. So that's what I'm asking for Christmas. Big B, what about you, man?
If you want to go along those lines, I will actually look at it in the other direction. I don't want, what I want is for the Democrats, Nancy Pelosi as the leader of the Democrats, to sit back and say, you know what, let's stop trying to redo the 2016 election.
Yeah.
Because for the last 3 years, that's all they've done. And what their rhetoric is the one dividing this country. Now, their rhetoric causes Trump to attack on Twitter. So if they scale back, because if you look at Trump's tweets, his angry tweets are, Nancy Pelosi said this Democrat said that in the media about me and all this stuff. His other tweets are, we got a great trade deal in place with China. You got US MCA coming. It's a great deal for America. So he's got, very positive tweets about policy. If the Democrats would stop trying to tear down the president and stop trying to redo the 2016 election and move forward and try to work on policy with him, I think a lot of that rhetoric coming from Trump would dial back just in natural progress. He's not going to outwardly go attack Pelosi if she just sits there and says, okay, let's try to work on a deal, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to publicly attack anybody. Let's have a good meeting. And Trump is not going to come out and say, Pelosi's a fucking drunk cunt because that's not going to happen. He only does that because they go outwardly attack him in the media.
I agree with like 95%. I think the only thing I would just maybe disagree on, because I totally agree. I think if they stop doing their thing, because let's say they called him on a bluff, and let's say he didn't stop, but they acted nice, then that would make them look better, or vice versa.
Yep.
If Trump started acting nice and they acted like assholes, it'd make them look bad. The only different, the onus of change, I would put on the president, because he is the one that 100% has the ability to control it and going, if I can set the tone for the rest of this, at least. The Democrats are going to be a lot more at whim of that left, like the radical fringe, the angry parts of the party that is, they don't want to compromise anymore. I mean, I talked to him on Twitter, like, and Facebook. They're like, the time for negotiating and compromising is over, right? So I look at, as long as they're at whim to that, they're always going to play to that. Whereas Trump at the top were to stop it, now you're forcing Democrats to go, oh, wow, if we keep with the rhetoric, we're going to look like assholes because he's actually acting nice. So I guess we're going to have to change. I think that has a higher probability of working, regardless of who started what. I just want to see the person at the top going, all right, it doesn't matter whose fault it was. I have the power to stop it, and so this is what I'm going to do. And I would expose the Democrats and make them look bad in the process. It's a win-win for America. The country gets backed off the edge. He is in charge of it. It makes him look good. Right. And then for the Republicans, if it works out for them and Democrats look like dumbasses, works out for them. But either way, the country can kind of back away from it. And I think then the people would then see that the leadership needs to change on the Democratic side. So that's the most where we could disagree. I mean, I was trying to find a better place.
Very valid points. Very, very. I can't disagree with that point of view.
Yeah, and that's all I want to see from him. I look at it. And my dad even says it. Like, he is, because my dad is as independent as they come. I think if you're to look at the last probably 8 elections, you're probably going to get 50-50, right? And he's even like, dude, it's like the guy can just like not do blank, or not do Y, but then keep doing. It's like, I'm cool with that. It's that part of it there that I don't like, and where I think it doesn't really matter, I think, for this election Republicans, but a lot of the Ohio voters that went against, like people that voted Democrat for a long time that voted for him, they did say, they're like, well, I'm going to vote for him. But they go, now, if there were somebody else that believed what he did that was nicer, I'd vote for them in a second. Which was very telling to me that those swing voters that got him, they would drop him at the hat if there were a better option, which should scare him because those are not loyal voters, the ones that got him elected. His 30% is loyal. The other 15% that got him elected in Pennsylvania, Indiana, West Virginia, Ohio, Michigan, they could switch at the drop of a hat. So he's going to have to watch that over the next month or so, or next 6-8 months or so. So it's going to be a long time, and it's going to be the longest year that I think we're going to have in a long time. And there's going to be a lot of bombshells, I think, to come out. So who knows what the hell's going to happen? Hopefully there's just a country at the end of it, right?
I'm hoping we're eventually back away from civil war.
We need to, but that's why, I mean, honestly, it's why I try to do the show, is just that, listen, like, we can talk. I mean, and people might make fun of me primarily the left is the ones that make fun of me the most. I guess I'm doing something right. If the right thinks I'm a bleeding heart liberal, and then the left thinks I'm like, a pussy-fied version of them that really is a Republican, I guess I'm doing something right, but hopefully we can hear people where it's not about who's right, who's wrong. It's just, hey, what do you believe and why? And what do you base it on? And you listen. And it's amazing how we'll get so much further in that. Like, we both are going to walk away going, I have some different viewpoints of things. And so that's a win, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I love it, man. Well, let's wrap this shit up, man. All right. Hey, tell everyone where you can find the Cave Crew, nights you guys are on, best place to listen.
Cave Crew Radio on every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Hopefully we're back this week. We've been off for a few weeks due to various diseases and floods and whatnot. So hopefully we're back this week. CaveCrewRadio.com every Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern time. You hear me, you hear a guy from Canada and a guy from England talk about weird Florida news.
It's a weird UN, man, but it works. Everyone's from different walks of life, man. It's like the Rainbow Coalition of, Anglo North American people, right? Anglo North American European people, right? Well, my man, dude, thank you so much for being on the show as always, man. Like, dude, we always love having you on. You always, I would love I love catching up with you guys. It's always a lot of fun. We got to get the whole crew on the air because one thing I did
last time I was on here that you want them to get on. So.
I know I want to have a healthcare debate, and one of the things I want to hear what healthcare is like in England, healthcare in Canada, and you and I can kind of represent our American bullshitty, insurance. So you tell the boys, we'll figure it out. We can even do a joint. We'll figure it out. I don't know.
Yeah. I think in the new year we'll figure it out.
Well, absolutely. All right. So, but my man, thanks so much for being on and. Yeah,
anytime
man.
You're in need of a co-host, I'll jump in.
Oh, dude, as always, man. So everyone, that was it. I know it's a good Christmas present. We went a little bit longer, since all those years my parents giving me presents early. I'll give you guys a little present early, a little more gray matters. Don't get used to it though, because I ain't gonna do 1.5 hour shows every week. That's fucking exhausting. So on that note, everyone, wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Merry Hanukkah, Merry Kwanzaa, Happy New Year, all that good fun. And remember, next time somebody asks you, you're a Democrat, you're a Republican, you're red, you're blue, you're whatever, well, just say, fuck that noise. My ass is gray. All right, everyone, you be good to each other. You have an excellent New Year. We'll see you guys on the flip side. Peace.